This is Carl Will with Sherline Products. We're moving on to the next part of our video. A couple things to go through. We've changed out the insert tooling for a high-speed steel tool because the high-speed steel cuts the wood better. Also, you can make your included angle as large or small as you want. So if you've got a radius that's coming down pretty steep on the backside, you can grind enough of the backside of your high-speed steel away so it doesn't interfere with the part. You can also put a lot of real steep rake on the top so you get a very nice cutting action to it. We've got a cutoff tool on the backside, and our customer actually wants to cut it off manually when he's done turning the knob. Okay. Another one, this is one of our sample parts that we did, and this is out of oak, which has got a really open grain. It's not his wood of choice. We're actually going to be cutting, this is Brazilian rosewood rather, which has it's hard and a very fine grain. It cuts much better than this. To be proper machining this properly, the way that you would choose to machine it would actually be this direction held on here. So you're turning all your narrow end and going to your fatter end, and then the back side here would be roughed out with a grooving tool and finished with a grooving tool and parted off. Our customer wants to be able to machine this complete and part it off with a hole in the counter bore in it. So he chose this way of doing it. Okay. When you do it this way, if we rough all this out, especially down to the narrow diameter here, and then we try to finish it, this whole surface here is just going to chatter wickedly because you have such a small diameter to hold on to at the base. Okay, so we've set up the program so that it will rough out back an inch and finish back an inch, and then it'll come in and rough out the back and finish the back, and there'll be a slight blend line that you might see. On this part, once it's finished, he's going to sand it and finish it anyhow before he parts it off. So the little blend line that you will see on the part after it's machined is going to be gone after he sands it. Okay. So the next one, when we do our insert tooling, we just went over how we wanted all our tools nice and square. This one is actually offset because of my angle on the front of my tool. I don't want the whole surface, my whole cutting surface, to be parallel with the face of the part. I want it to be off just a little bit. So this guy's just hand set. Okay, on the part-off blade, this part-off blade is 40 thousandths thick, which is really wimpy. I mean, you can see I can flex it just by pushing on the side. Okay, if the part-off blade or cut-off tool is not dead perpendicular to the part, then especially with a blade this thin, your blade is going to start to walk off at an angle as you're trying to cut off your part. Okay, so you can eyeball it square to begin with and lock it in place, but the best way to get this guy squared in is to indicate it in. So what we do is put an indicator on our bed. Okay, and then we go into jog, and I'm on continuous right now. Get close. That's close enough. And I'm going to walk it in, so I'm going to step it in now until it actually reads on my indicator. Right there, just red. I'm going to go to thousandths. That a little more. Okay, so I have a reading on it right now. I'm going to go back to continuous, and I'm going to indicate the blade in so that I'm dead perpendicular to the center line of the machine. So I'm in continuous, and I'm going to go X minus. Okay, and right now my blade is like this. It's going high. So I don't have to indicate the whole blade, and I can start dialing it in right here. So I'm going to come back out to the end. Okay, out there. I'm going to loosen it up, and I'm just going to tap it. Get it in the ballpark, and I'm going to go the other direction. Okay, I think I pegged out my indicator. Hold on a second. I did. Okay, go back to continuous. Okay. We're still at an angle like this. Break it loose. So right now, this is the only section I'm going to be cutting. From here, I have about a half thou variation. It went in and came back out. So that's pretty much as square as it's going to be. So we're good right there. So that's how you indicate your part off blade. Make sure you're good and square. Okay, so the next one is, this is our rosewood. This is the end that's counterboard, and this is our through hole. And we're going to put it in here. And chuck it up and get it running true. And so you can see right there, I'm off quite a bit. Okay, we're going to go to MDI mode. On this page, I'm going to put in 300. Enter. Clockwise. Use my T-handle and just come in, get it running true. I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to lock it down right there. Okay. I've already touched this tool off. I'm going to touch off on the Z-axis just because it's not flush mount against the chuck right now. It's out a little ways. Okay, I'm going to touch off the tool on the front because it's not back against the face of the chuck, and I want to make sure my Z obviously hasn't changed too much. So I'm just going to go to the jog page again, continuous, jog my tool down. Okay, because the face isn't dead square, anytime you get close, you want to spin it by hand once just to make sure it's not going to hit your tool and come out of your vise. Okay, I'm going to go back to my RPMs and I'm going to put it up to, let's go 800. Okay, now I'm going to go back to jog. I'm going to go to step mode. Thousands. Step in until I hear it make a cut. Right there's a cut. Turn my spindle off. Go to my tooling page. So this is tool number 2. And I'm going to teach my 0. So I'm just going to 0 out Z. Right there's 0 and save. Okay. Jog mode. Continuous, and just move to a clearance position. Okay, again, I have enough space between these two so that I can cut on this side without my cutoff tool cutting anything on the back or crashing. And this one is out a little bit further than my cutoff tool, so if I come in and I cut real close to the jaws, I don't have to worry about my chuck jaws clipping my cutoff tool. The only thing I do have to keep in mind is this is about 850 thousandths diameter. When it gets done, I'm going to come out to a clearance point of 1.5. At 1.5, I know that this cutoff tool is not going to crash on the back side. If I go more than that, then I'm definitely going to have a crash problem with my cutoff tool on the back side. So right now, I'm going to load a program. You can see where it's roughing out and finishing the whole first larger section of it back an inch, and then it's roughing and finishing the back section closer to the chuck. Okay, I'm going to start running this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop when it gets done roughing the front, and I'm just going to tighten my chuck again to make sure that nothing's come loose, and then we're going to run the back part of it. This wood actually cuts really nice. So we shouldn't have any problems here. So I'm going to come here, we'll rewind, and okay, if I want to make sure I'm not going to crash, it's always wise to start in single block. Okay, with it in single block, every time I hit the cycle start button, it's going to go one line down. However, if I'm in automatic and it's cycling through, and I decide I want to go to single block, the way the software is set up, it will go from automatic, or it will go from single block to automatic. If you go from automatic to single block, it's going to rewind your program. So you can't go from automatic back to single block, but you can start at single block. So I'm starting at single block, start hitting the cycle start button. My RPMs should go to 1500, which they are. Okay, so right there, I'm at 50 thousandths in front of the part. Okay, so that all looks good. So I know I'm not going to crash. So I'm going to take it off the single block. Keep my finger on the escape button. Cutting air on the first one because I told it my material is a little larger than it actually is. And you can see this wood is cutting really nice. When I actually run this, I've got a shop vac. I put the shop vac on here and just suck all of this sawdust out as I'm going. If I do that now, you won't be able to do anything in the video. So. Just roughed out the front, now it's going to rough out the back. And now it's going to finish the whole front section. Yeah, we have a nice slow feed rate. Comes out to the clearance, I'm going to keep hold. Okay, keep hold right there. And turn my spindle off. And really nice finish on that. Okay, I'm going to tighten up my chuck just a little bit to make sure nothing's coming loose here. That's still good and tight, so that's good. Okay. All right. Okay, now it's going to rough out the rest of it. Okay, another point in the conversation program, when you tell it how much material you want to leave, if you tell it for the x-axis, most of the time you want to leave 10 or 20 thousandths. Okay. Whatever you tell it for the x-axis, it's going to leave that amount for the z-axis. 10 thousandths left on the z-axis means you're, especially on a shoulder like this, your cutter's going to really plunge hard into a lot of material. You don't want to leave more than like 2 or 3 thousandths between your rough and your finish of the Z. So what I do is when the conversation program has finished, I'll go in and I'll actually adjust the rough Z number so that all I'm leaving is about 2 thousandths. And then it's just doing a skim cut on that shoulder right there. Yeah, you can hear the RPMs are fast right now. Let them settle a little bit. we're looking at 1500. You can actually see the RPM readout on your screen. Once it gets close to that, then his cycle starts again. Okay, now it's going to come in, and it's going to rough the rest of it and then finish it. Right now on the roughing, we're up at 4 inches a minute, which is almost twice what we were roughing this surface at. And that's because I'm closer to the chuck and it's a more stable section of the part. Another one I might mention, if you're going to be doing a lot of wood on your machine, you want to get the dust cover for your power switch. Finish. Slow the RPMs down a little bit because of the shadow factor. And that's machining nice. So this is our finished part, and on this one I don't have any blend line at all. That actually came out really nice. So at this point, I'm sure our customer will be coming in here, turning on the spindle, hitting this with fine sandpaper, maybe putting a finish on it, or whatever he wants to do. Okay, and then he would part it off. So I'm not going to part this off, but if I was going to part this off, okay, if I've touched up my tool, I can tell it move to X of 1.5 inches and move to a Z in the final Z position that one, which could be right at the shoulder or just a hair away from it. Or I can just go into jog. Bring my cutter in. And this tool is sticking out a little further than this one is, but when this tool is engaged in the part, this tool is out past the hitting area of the chuck. So I would, that was good to me, and I would come in. Then I would go to MDI, give it an RPM, 800 is probably fine. If I was going to part this off, this one already has a hole in it. As it's parting it off, you can put a pin in here to just, not to hold it, but to have something for the part to come off on when it does get parted off. And I would just hit the spindle on, and then I would go into jog mode, and you can bring your feed rate all the way down as low as you want. Right now I'm going to jog away. Okay, that feed rate right there, still be a little bit high. So what I can do is go into step mode, and now it will step in 10 thousandths at a time. And go down to 1 and just start clicking. And if this was metal, I would be putting oil onto my blade as I'm cutting. Because it's wood, it's not that critical. I don't need any lubrication whatsoever. Okay, so anyhow, that's how I would cut it off. Back behind. Okay, clearance. Okay, so there's our knob right there. Here we go. There we have it. Part it off and it's ready to go right there. So resilient to most wood. Okay. Thank you. This is after the video tip. As far as knowing how far to rough and finish the front back so that we didn't get chatter, it was not an educated guess. What it is we actually ran some oak substitute wood, and from here all the way to here we got bad chatter when we ran the whole thing. So I just measured back, it's pretty much an inch, and changed my program so it would do rough and finish an inch back, and then it would come in and do the rest of it. So just being honest here, we actually had some trial and error parts first before we ran this one so that we'd have it all dialed in. But that's how we figured it out. Thank you.